Well, it's 1:48 and Wiltshire police have arrested 2 people after they sprayed orange paint on Stonehenge.
Well, Just Stop Oil have shared a video saying it's to get the incoming government to sign up to a legally binding treaty to phase out fossil fuels by 2030. Of course, Stonehenge famously associated with oil, gas. I think the 5,000-year-old Neolithic Britons were prolific users of the internal combustion engine, and they drilled for lots of oil, so it makes perfect sense, of course.
Yes, we're going to be joined by Gill Tavner, a spokesperson from Just Stop Oil. Gill, thank you very much indeed. What on earth is this all about? This is just criminal activity under the guise of some kind of activism.
No, that's not. That paint will be washed off really easily. So it's not long-lasting damage at all, unlike the damage that is being done now by the fossil fuel industry and just keeping burning fossil fuels, putting more CO2 into the atmosphere. You're right, the Neolithic people were not prolific users of fossil fuels. They did not cause the kind of damage that we're causing now. That's all been within since the Industrial Revolution in the 150 years.
So because
this is when the damage has been done.
So because this stuff can be washed off, ergo there's no issue here. Well, Stonehenge aren't particularly happy about this. They've come out on their social media page and they say Stonehenge is protected by the Ancient Monuments Act and it is a criminal offence to damage the stones. There are also multiple rare lichen species growing on the stones that are also protected. So this isn't good for nature, is it?
I think you're getting things so out of perspective here. What isn't good for nature is the damage we're doing now, and what's not good for nature globally is not good for you, it's not good for me, and it's not good for the people watching this programme. Because we now have the breakdown of the climate stability on which everything has evolved, all our agriculture systems, all the things that if you've got stable agriculture, you've got stable food supplies, you can start thinking about education and well-being. We disrupt those patterns as we are doing with this consistent burning of fossil fuels.
Sorry, Gill.
Then we're in big trouble.
Jill, was there more education and well-being before the Industrial Revolution or afterwards?
The two, that is not related in that way. We have been, since both before and after the Industrial Revolution, you and I have still been able to enjoy a stable climate. But now, the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere is so high that you can see the news. This is a list I wrote yesterday of all news stories about climate breakdown, climate extremes in different countries. That is threatening food supplies. You saw how people were upset about a shortage of toilet rolls during COVID. What's going to happen when we haven't got the food we want? What's going to happen to us?
We produced more food in the last year than has ever been produced before on the face of this planet.
There's a drought in the Mediterranean. Our farmers this year have only been able to plant something like on 1/3 of their land. They haven't been able to put their seeds in the ground.
The productivity on that 1/3 of land is higher than the productivity would have been for the entire field only a few decades ago, because we can put nitrogen in the soil, because we have technological progress to produce so much more food on so much less land.
Right.
That's the beauty of the Industrial Revolution.
No, I'm not. There was something called the Green Revolution that was global and that went for this mass productivity that you're talking about. It has exhausted our soil, filled the airs with pesticides. I don't want to talk about all that because the arguments are so simple. The ones you're coming up with are simplistic and they're not right. But I haven't got time to do that right now.
Jill, do you think...
But what is true? Just look out of the window, look at the news. Ask someone who's just come back from Greece. Ask someone who's planning a summer holiday in the Med this year. Look at America. Something like 1 in 5 Americans are now heating.
Okay, we understand you're deeply concerned. We understand, Jill, that you are deeply concerned about climate change. But let's try a different tack, because we're talking about this, assault on the Stonehenge. Essentially, that is what it is. How is that going to help? I mean, I'm looking at the reaction. I'm looking at the reaction on social media, and it's almost entirely people either mocking it or saying how much of a disgrace it is. It's hardly good for the cause, is it?
Listen, some people do that, and you perpetuate that because you choose to talk about this. We get on here, and it is if I said, hey, I'm Jill, I live in Stroud, I'd like to come on and talk about the dangers of climate change and what it's doing to us and why we have to stop burning fossil fuels.
We talk about net zero all the time. We talk about how to get there, how to improve the climate.
You don't. What, do you ever get... So this has happened. Why don't you say, OK, these people are protesting. Let's get some of the fossil fuel CEOs and ask them about the real damage they're doing, instead of asking some people about spraying a bit of orange powder paint. get perspective, please, because this is really serious and really important. And all the scientists, I've been involved with climate science.
Yeah, I think we try and look for sensible solutions, though, Gill. That's the interesting discussion.
We've had 20, 30 years. We've had 20, 30 years of politically pragmatic and sensible solutions. And in the meantime, we've burnt more and more fossil fuels.
In the meantime, China keeps, building those coal mines.
Well, you're going to start churning out the China thing. China's actually ahead of us in its investment in
it's doing an all-in strategy. It's investing lots in renewables, absolutely, but also lots in fossil fuels as well. I just wonder, will you accept that we've reduced our carbon emissions by 50% since the 1990s?
In the UK, we've offshored our carbon emissions. We've done a lot. The stuff we buy and stuff is largely made in other countries, so therefore we're not.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's quite a lot of greenwashing. There's quite a lot of greenwashing. Sorry, Gill, we're going to have to wrap it up there. Sorry about that. Great to speak to you, spokesperson from Just Stop Oil. When we come back, Damien Hines, Conservative candidate, will be talking to us about the campaign.